Yo, 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 it's ODB, Our Lifestyle Podcast, also known as OLP. Search your favorite podcast app for OLP or Our Lifestyle Podcast. Subscribe, follow, whatever you do. Check us out. We got a free weekly podcast, 2.5 years straight, but we're 5.5 years strong. Going to be sixth anniversary this August. So we got a couple of gems for you. Let's talk about some mini Truckin Magazine history. So this is issue 33, August 94, 91 Blazer, Doug Starbuck. Okay. You see the awesome square body Blazer. Got the rag top, got the billets, you got the babes, you got it all. You got the tilt beds in the upper right corner. And you see the tag STRBUX, Doug Starbuck, the OG, the legend. Appreciate him chiming in on posts. Now, you see a couple of other issues here. We just covered this issue, 32, July 94. It ties into this issue in a couple of ways. One, Chris Anders, his Mazda, we talked about this when he was on the podcast. It was the only time I can think of where you have a cover truck, which was not featured, but was featured in the next issue. Pretty cool stuff. One of my favorite issues. Additionally, if you look at this, July 9-4, August 9-4, September 9-4. Steve Stillwell talks about in his editorial on this one, they basically had got the approval to go with more issues. Basically, they were going to shoot for 9 per year. And that was a huge jump because he talks a little bit about, starting with the one kind of in 88, but basically it was a quarterly magazine because 89 was quarterly. They went by monthly, and then obviously they ramp up to about 9 per year. But if you look at this run, July, August, September, you would think, hey, they're monthly now. Well, guess what? There's not an October issue. There is a November issue, and then we'll talk more about it when we get to that. So I wanted to tie in a little bit, kind of that little bit of a fun fact, history, whatever you want to call it, for this issue. Doug Starbuck. So what I'm going to do here, so we got full plain field. So I'm going to move these bad boys out of the way. This one, of course, is next. So I'll give you a little bit of a preview. I always remember this one with the shaved tag. And, of course, you got the two sexy ladies. Hey, ladies. That top, though. All right. Enough playing around. So this one's kind of cool because you got this indoor shoot. Stillwell once wrote about it, I think, in Street Trucks, talking about X marks the spot cover. And this is one of those where they have, a nice staged, photo op here. So you got the badass Doug Starbuck truck. You got the lady. You got the toolbox. You see a billet grill up there and some other fun stuff. Got the mini truck in the yellow hat, looks like, maybe. Maybe another mini Truckin Magazine back there. Mini Truckin with mini Truckin on the cover. So kind of an X marks the spot where it's staged. Then, of course, you got the tilt bed. Soundstream Hard Rock giveaway. I showed the ad in the last issue, which featured Ballistic. This issue is not in pristine condition, but I definitely happy I have this issue. You can see what looks like a little bit of a watermark there, as in real water stain. Okay, this is pretty funny. If you've never looked at this, Doug Starbuck just couldn't leave well enough alone. Back for its second cover appearance alongside the Red Hot Tina New in Mini Truckin Zone Buff Boys. And I could be wrong. That looks like Courtney. Who's the other dude? That chick, though. Of course, you see there, Shartsis shot this one. Here's Chris Anders. Uni what? When we were doing that that episode when Chris was on talking about the group that he started. I was in a mini truck club in the 80s and 90s. I mentioned the unibody, and he's like, man, I kind of forgot about that. Classic. Again, we got to thank the OGs in the scene that put in all this work and put out this awesome magazine for so many years, because we've got everything to look back on now. So Stillwell, he takes the editorial here. You've seen that Shartsis had kind of wrote a few times here for this editorial. And he talks about right here, Mini Truckin Magazine began as a quarterly, only 4 issues a year, then graduated to bi-monthly 6 times. Well, we are over halfway into 9-4. And here we go again with the latest move. Mini Truckin Magazine will be produced 9 times a year. And then he kind of talks about some of the dates to be on the lookout for, and how, the magazine, it's not going to go on sale at a specific day. It could be, the middle of the month or whatever. But that was good news, because in this era, things were starting to heat up. And obviously, I'm sure the sales were on the rise, which is always a good thing. That S-10, though. Old fogey looking. So you got the Toppers buyer's guides. It's cool how Toppers have, I'd say, have made a comeback. That Lear, though. That one's kind of got a weird window in it, though. I had a Lear Topper. I was repping Topper gang early on with my 9-4. Had the accordion boot in there. It's good stuff. Warranty Plus. Shartsis. Photography by Sean Carlson. Forget Me Not. So this is the one. You see this little insert photo on the cover. Shartsis, again, behind the clicker. And, man, what a pretty cool shoot. You've got the kind of depth of field here with the plant. Kind of cool that they backed up a little bit. And not really a photographer. But this is Juan Travino. You guys may know him. Juan's been around a long time, and that name sticks out. Very cool truck. Check out the interior. Sliding rag. Super clean. So good stuff there. The best in bass. So I talked about recently, bass CDs were all the rage, and it's hard for probably some of the younger cats out there, maybe not hard to realize, but if you think about, like, it's just crazy to me that you can go on Shazam or ask, your phone to say, what song is this? And boom, you can listen to it. I mean, I find the most obscure albums that I had hoped to own in 94 that I couldn't even find, and they're just on Spotify or on Apple Music. It's crazy to me. And to think, like, back in those days, we literally had to buy CDs, and, CDs, for some of you guys that will remember, there were times when they were like $16.99. And even today, I still buy physical media, and I'll run across CDs all the time that are $16, $17.99 new. Let alone, obviously, you're looking for something obscure. I mean, there's some CDs I'm looking for right now that are $100, $150. They're just out of print. They didn't make many of them. They didn't sell many of them. But I'm always happy when I can find it on Spotify, because I'll stream it. I'll stream it. If you want to send me any of your tape cassettes, hook me up. I'll send you my address. I'll give you some stickers. We'll work something out. Cassettes on the rise at ODB's crib. Hot Threads by Boyd. So look like just doing a little deal there, kind of showing some love to Boyd. Shop Rags catalog. That's another thing I've kind of mentioned over the course of time, how many brands have came and gone. I mean, let alone shops. But like in the mini truck scene, like you would have a shop that was like hot, and people were buying the gear or a brand. I remember a brand, Mini Truck Cartel. And my dad had one of the shirts, I think it was Mini Truck Cartel. And I actually gave Papa Smurf one. I had an extra large shirt. And it was a cool mini trucker shirt, and like I got a cool photo of him wearing it with my son. And you know, it's just crazy to think over 20, 25, 30 years, all the brands that have come and gone. So Chris Anders, dude, one of my favorite trucks. Now, I hinted recently more to come on this one. Of course, this is what I was alluding to. You see down here, you got Courtney Hollowell shot it, models, Kathy Brooks and Aaron. I'm not even going to say that one. Different kind of grill. You got the two ladies. Always was a fan of these wheels too. Got the scallops. Someone commented recently on the last one, nice one. They said, we need more scallops in the world. And that's something that I don't disagree with. They may not be everyone's cup of tea, but this one, man, I'm going to get me a Mazda one day, and it's going to be topless. GNS Designs. That Aerostar dough, I can't escape them. They're everywhere. I better stop talking smack. So here was something that's interesting about this one. KMC made these billet wheels. For those that don't know, in the early days, KMC was making billets, and I remember, you know, KMC for a lot of the chrome wheels they had, but the OGs out there will remember KMC billets. And, you know, they've just been in the wheel game a long time. Of course, they got really heavy into the lifted trucks. I think the 8-lug stuff. So you can see there with the topper on what it looked like. And just put those seats back. You don't need no expensive convertible, man. See the mini truck. Now, I mentioned to Chris about this too. This was a mod I always liked. The green Isuzu Ombre from Negative Camber, Maryland area, which we posted that. I got a chance. It's funny because when we were at Mini Nats this year and I was talking to some of the OGs at the cabin, we were talking about that truck. And, you know, a lot of people will say, man, that Ombre only went to a few shows. I'm lucky I saw it at like 2 shows, and I don't think it went to many. But it had that same mod, or a similar mod, where the taillights popped up like that. And I think that's just freaking awesome. Didn't really see that a lot, but that's my kind of mod. I like that. TCI, total cost involved. Many of you will remember TCI for just stuff I remember in street trucks and in the mini trucking days of going, oh, I'm going to get me a 4-link. And that was my first 4-link that I had purchased when a guy in Longwood, Matt, had bagged my S-10. Got a TCI, total cost involved. There's a throwback for you. I'm sure they're still around, but you see the chop shop. Brian Gendro, of course, involved in doing the installation. It was one thing, you're like, yo, I got me a 4-link. That's kind of like having your valves hooked up in your truck, hitting switches, and you're like, yeah, I just need to get it bagged now. Guy did that to us one time. He's like, yeah, man, got my compressor hooked up and my gauge. And we're like, oh, cool, show it to us. He's hitting switches. We're like, man, the truck's not moving. He's like, yeah, I haven't got it bagged yet. I was like, all right, you're on your way, though. I ain't talking smack, just, you know, fun old stories, man, from the good old days. So you got Wyatt Strange, Editorial. I haven't read every single one of those. Man, they're funny, though. There's some good stories. And there's a guy that we want to have on that I think was a part of the reason for some of those stories. We'll have him on at some point. Gotta link up with the homie. Dude, that style. One of the first box, well, not the first, but one, maybe the second or third box, Paul, my homie Paul Lane, he built the box in my dime, and of course the back of it was, you know, the MDF and or particle board. But this style, I think, is kind of making a comeback. It's pretty cool to see, in my opinion. This is Pacific Express. Kind of see a little bit more color here. The second annual Spring California Truck Jam. Now, I just had posted, as I had mentioned, the first annual Dates. Could be wrong. Probably chick in the middle. Maybe. Super clean S10, cool graphics, a couple minis in the back lurking. Clean Astro. Those wheels, those colors. Check that out. Recognize that truck? That boat though. Good stuff. Shartsis, Randall Jackman, Bill Turner, and Sean Carlson shot the coverage. Pretty cool. They ensured that they all got the credit that they were due. See again, boom, a little bit more color. I mean, just the displays. I mean, stuff you just... I know recently somebody was talking I was in a mini truck group in the 80s and 90s, I think it was, and he was like, man, why doesn't anyone do any displays anymore? And I guess you could argue and say, like, okay, you don't really see a display like this. I mean, times have changed. You don't see guys with a lot of display boards and stuff. But to say that there's none, I mean, that's like saying there's really, why don't people static drop trucks anymore? And you're like, there's plenty of those out there, which is a cool thing. But, I kind of gave the guy a bunch of evidence of previous posts going, well, what about this? Look at Eddie Gordy. He's doing the gas tanks and doing, his display and taking a wheel off. And you got Jeff from Mini Garage, which has a fantastic YouTube channel. Jeff was repping from the West, drove from the Pacific Northwest, trailered out. And he's got his wheel off with a cool stand with a little Van Halen theme to it. And just freaking awesome stuff, Steve Stillwell's blood pressure isn't nearly high enough, is it? As it is. Can't read. Courtney, getting crazy. It looks like Shartsis. Crazy guys. But this was the fun stuff, man. In the magazine, you felt like you kind of knew them. That's what I kind of talked to Phil Fowler about, at Mini Nats each year, last couple years. Got a Blazer on the rise that just, you kind of felt like you knew these guys. You knew their face, and then you see them at a show, and it was like, yo, what's up? I'm a reader from so-and-so. Ray and Angie Morton, Jacksonville, North Carolina. The Ranger. Leave a comment. Appreciate you guys always doing that. I've seen some growth here. And I've seen some people chime in. Recently, the homie was like, yo, my favorite year was like 87, I think he said. And, it's pretty cool to think, like, some of us got in like 10 years after that or 5 years after that. And you got people like Adam Johnson, great dude in the scene. He's been out doing stuff since 86, 87-ish. Still shooting features, going to shows, showing his truck. Of course, this is relaxed atmosphere. Awesome cover, good color photos. I mean, look at the door panels, the tweed, a little bit of billet on the dash. Of course, on this side, you've got looks like the removable grill off, because you can see on that side, it's got the removable grill on. You got the little remote control for the radio. I mean, this is the kind of stuff I got into the scene just looking at, like, remembering, man, dude, the tweed, how good it looked. And, man, even having by today's standards, like maybe a basic truck with some really cool interior. I mean, just the little pieces that are made. And you had, obviously, these high-end components. I mean, hell, it's got the 7618, one of those top Alpines in it. The removable speaker grills. Some power windows, amps. Just got it all, man. And again, I'm not saying basic, as in like this truck isn't cool. This truck is freaking fantastic. But obviously that's continued from page 52, but get the idea. But I mean, to me, it's just like, this is all, I mean, I think mini trucking got out of hand a little bit. We all got crazy. And, that we're coming back to our roots, realizing, damn, you know, I could have something static dropped. A little bit of tweed, a little bit of old school stereo. One thing I love is you could take an Alpine deck that has AI net. You can go on Amazon. I don't know how reliable they are, but you can buy a little Bluetooth Willy deal that plugs in the AI net port. Boom, it's Bluetooth, right? So then you've got the old school look. Got full size though. Slipping in the mag. This was the continued Topper Gang stuff. Topper Gang, we get that from Jason Diener. He was the one that really had said that and was hashtagging that when he had a topper on his dime. So we've just kind of ran with it. He knows, he gets the credit for it. You can't be stealing people's sayings without giving them the credit. Like I give credit to Boss Bolin for starting the On the Rise movement. We're going to take it further than you guys can ever believe. And I mean that with all due respect. You know, Tony's my homie, and you know, sometimes it's the way it goes. I mean, in the rap game, you know, you had homies coming up with, like, I've heard rumors where, like, Snoop was like, man, this is the Chronic. And I was like, what's that? It's like, man, this is like the Bobonic, man. And then, boom, the Chronic, you know, you should name your shit the Chronic. And then, dude, this thing is nuts. And then what does Dre do? He does. And I even heard or read a couple years ago that Dre had trademarked the Chronic. That word. I'll have to look it up. But, you know, that's just the way it goes, and you got to give credit. You know, I see sometimes people will be, I mean, I think we all borrow stuff. We all borrow, like, ideas and things like that, but you can't straight up steal. And, you know, people that don't give credit, you know, to where credit's due, I mean, to me, that's, I mentioned in the last one, we lost Chimoto, who was a hip-hop photographer, you know. And I don't know his whole story, but, you know, he fought really for photographer rights and stuff like that. You know, you imagine if you're a photographer and people were stealing your stuff or you're not getting paid for it, you know. It's all fun and games till people are taking money out your pocket, you know what I mean? And that's what Andre 3000 rapped about on one of the Devin the Dupe songs. He's like, yeah, you want to download my stuff for free? Okay, that's cool. I'm going to come and take some food off your plate. And then he's like, oh, that's not all right. He goes, now you know how we feel. Now, granted, the whole music thing, I think the whole industry was behind on that. Like Papa Smurf used to tell me, man, they kind of knew what was coming. But at the same time, you can understand if you're an artist, you put your heart and soul into stuff and people are stealing it, you kind of go, that shit ain't cool. Now, one of the little homies, well, I think he's a younger cat, maybe. I could be wrong. He had hit us up with an idea of highlighting some artwork. He's a fan of the channel, and off the top of my head, I don't know his name. He did email us, so thanks for following up, little homie. Maybe he's an older dude, I don't know, but we've got some ideas there, so definitely we'll follow up. Let us know what you want to do. Live life topless. I mean, look at how many topless trucks. I mean, you got the hood scoop or the intake coming through. You have the topless truck, the louvers, Cinderella story. This one's going a little long. I appreciate you guys hanging with us. I don't want to skim through too much of the heat. Straight fire. Check out how clean that is. See, if I would have flipped the page, you guys would have been like, yo, we need Mo. Just having a good time out here. Shot by Courtney. Cool colors, cool stance, like the topper, love the wheels. Tag, drop it. You got another one here. And I think on the cover I had mentioned Sunstream. Yeah, and I had read it whenever I started as they were going to announce the giveaway, but of course they can't announce it if they're, and sure enough, looking back at it, it just was the headline to try to sell the mags and say, yo, pick it up, you have a chance to win. I'd love to find out, does anybody know who won some of that stuff back in the day? Here you see the old Mini Truckin logo, the original issue 1 Mini Truckin logo. Al Martinez, I believe, again, rest in peace. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I think he recently passed away. He was tied into all these shows. 8/14/94. That tailgate, though. Yeah, we're just out here having fun, man. Doing the damn thing. Get home from work. Come straight to the booth. Hustling. Every day are hustling. Lots of history. Hopefully you guys appreciate this. So many of you guys keep coming back, commenting, liking, subscribing, sharing. So David Schilling's 91 King Cab. And then Mike Peters, who we had on. Crazy to think that we've had some of these OG guys on so long ago. Real deal. Josh hooked us up there. Josh Ellis, always looking out. Our brother. I be jealous. And, of course, you got the SoundStream ad on the back. Counting on my head, this is issue 33. Did a couple of these in a row. I'm pretty sure it's 33. August 9-4. Don't forget Scrapin the Coast, although this is the hammered weekend we're scraping the most. Scrapin the Coast is the last weekend in June. We're going to be there. And it's one of the biggest, baddest shows you'll ever go to. I dubbed it the Mini SEMA. I said that years ago. I went there. I did a write-up. I think I did show coverage for Slammed Bag. And I was like, yo, this is the Mini SEMA. It is. So, appreciate everyone that continues to rock with us. Thank you so much. Mini Truckin Magazine. Going to keep the pedal stomped. We hope that you do too. If you're building some cool shit, email us, ourlifestylepodcast@gmail.com. I try to check the DMs. I get behind on Instagram. We get a lot of spam. We get all kinds of shit. But keep it locked to OLP, social media, podcast, you name it. We're going to get crazy into the rest of 2021. I think that's all I got. Rest in peace, Tito. Shout out to all the legends. We got you.